PRX.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time for the podcaster who's here to tuck you in at a distance. You'd say sometimes you want to be tucked in. And, sometimes you wonder, is there someone named Tuck Finn? But you say, no, that's Huck Finn. And that dude Tuck is like, remember when Worf was dressed as Friar Tuck? That was that dude's name. Or he was a bear in one of those movies, I think. But what am I talking about? How did I get so off topic? I was talking about auditorily tucking you in. Because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots here. This is an all-intro episode for Memorial Day. These are people love these all-intro episodes. There's listeners who pay $10 and $20 a month so they can get 2 exclusive all-intro episodes every single month, in addition to these that we put out on long weekends in the U.S. So if you do want to listen and you want more, check out our Patreon. You also get story-only episodes, which some people prefer to listen to just the stories. But a lot of people, they like to listen to the whole thing, the intro and the bedtime story. But these are all intros, really fun, intro after intro after intro. And these are ways I'm able to do it for you for free twice a week. Hey, everybody, Scoots here. This is where I talk about the patron, the Deep Dark Night United. We're doing a summer World Cup because the thing is, I got a ton of feedback from non-U.S. listeners, and non-U.S. listeners, you're right. If you're in Canada, we have Polysleep, but we don't have a lot of international sponsors. So if you're not in the U.S., please go to your phones right now, support the show. That's how we keep the show going. We rely on direct listener action. You get sweet bonus content in return. But if you're not in the U.S., we're going to have a competition this summer, so we'll see which part of the world, this is like a World Cup, is going to get the most new supporters on Patreon. Let me know about it, too. But, support the show, please, if you're not in the U.S. If you get value out of the show, wherever you are in the world, you say, okay, I can afford to support the show at $10-20 a month. I listen to it every single night, or I listen to it 5 nights a week. I used to pay for stuff. Why aren't I paying for Sleep With Me? And, if you rely on the show, and you're not in the U.S., really, please, can't be more adamant, especially with all the feedback I heard. If you're not in the U.S. and you really get value out of the podcast, become a patron and sign up. It'll be a huge help, and it'll help us keep the show going, and that's at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. And if you got any questions about that, go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. There's videos on every tier of exactly what you get. I guess the videos don't capture the feeling that you get that I hear from supporters on Patreon. They get a sense of community. We've got the Discord they feel a part of, but there's just some extra feeling in there knowing, hey, this is a person I count on I really do value what you do, Scoots. I know it's hard work, and I don't know, there's something about that, and it keeps me going, knowing people say, hey, I'm going to take a few minutes, or I'm going to, cancel another subscription I don't use as much, because I do listen to your show a lot, and it is valuable to me. That means a lot to me, beyond just keeping the show going, and I appreciate it. So, if you want to do that, if you're in a position to do it, sleepwithmepodcast.com/PATRON. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it's time for the Deep Dark United Supporter Zone, and I'd love to celebrate you on the Supporter Zone, particularly if you're in Canada and you support Polysleep. If you get your Helix mattress from helixsleep.com/sleep, you sign up for ZocDoc, Progressive Insurance, Air Doctor, AquaTrue. If you support a sponsor, please let them know about it and let me know about it so I can say thanks for everybody who benefits from your support. Looking to support people here on the Sleepy Supporter Zone, so let me know about it. All right, everybody, so that's the Sleepy Supporter Zone, Deep Dark United, Deep Dark Night United. The reason I get so excited is because that enables us to keep the show free for everybody. And over the past few months, I've heard about a lot of people who aren't in a position to support the show and benefit from it directly. Also, if you're having a tough time right now, there's links to resources you can connect with in the show notes. It's also about being a part of positive change, taking action, learning more, not just saying Black Lives Matter. matter, not just saying stop AAP, I hate, not just saying support Ukraine, but doing things. And I'd love for you to join us in the Orlando Park Stop fundraiser for Stop Hate, supporting the Trevor Project all throughout June. Please join in. I'm going to have some special rewards. So if you do support it, let me know about it. Use the link or go to orlandoparkstop.com/charity or just Google Orlando Park Stop Hate fundraiser and join in. Be a part of positive change. Be a part of community. Take positive action and help us support Orlando Park Stop's fundraiser to support the Trevor Project. I think that's it for the Sleepy Supporters on Mr. Bard. A lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
This posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the mystery bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. Don't forget, you can always get your sleep phones at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. Use Sleep With Me for $5 off your order. And what do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time or temperature. So anything, physically you're feeling or physical place you might be where you say, well, I can't get comfortable as I'd like to be here. Maybe you're on a couch, you're visiting someone or something, or you got something on your mind, or you have some emotions that are coming up for you, or, it's just situational, or it could be baffling, that's another one, or it could be something else. Whatever it is, I'm going to try to keep you company. I've got a safe place set up here. I have it set up and set aside. And set in softness. Sometimes they say it's set in stone, And I do like how that has a nice, it's a little bit too, we got to always be careful of, what's that called, sibilance here. But luckily, I work that out with the, production side. But you say set in softness versus, here's the thing. Okay, maybe, I don't know, have I ever talked about fabric softeners here on the podcast before? Because if there isn't, I wish this was like a lead into what do you call it? An ad, right? Say, what did I say? Sleep with me, not set in stone, but set in softness. Brought to you by Puffy Cloud, the fabric softener that leaves your clothes as puffy as a cloud. All of this is imaginary, but also protected by Scooter's made-up rights. Okay, sorry. If you're a new listener, though, I'm going to try to create a safe place that is, set in softness. Probably got ran through the laundry and the dryer with, a couple sheets of Puffy Cloud. Also made with real clouds. I didn't mention that because, we're still waiting for the ruling on that. And I said, technically, water is, I told the FBC or whatever, I said, technically, water comes from clouds, Your Honor. And they said, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm here representing myself, people versus Puffy Cloud. And then it was a dream. It was one of my many dreams. Okay, but what was I talking about? What was it? Oh, so I'm going to create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, which you just witnessed. And, other stuff. I'm going to go off topic. Basically, to take your mind off stuff and keep you company as you drift off. Now, if you're new, a couple things. Most likely, the podcast is going to be different than what you expected because it's just a bit different than most things. So if you can consume it the first time, just like if you were watching a puffy cloud go by and you say, what's that cloud doing? Not sure if that would, I don't know a nimbus, I personally don't know my alto from my nimbus, it's been said about me, even though I've done episodes about clouds. And, again, and they say, well, that made me think of Nimbus 2000, though. Didn't anybody ever say that to Harry? I guess that would be Ron. Like Hermione would say, Ron, you don't know your alto from your nimbus. I don't know. I love Neville, by the way. Not to go off topic, but that's what I do. So if you're new, kind of consume the podcast just like you would consume watching a cloud. If you can, the first few times, and just kind of see how it goes. Now, a couple things to know. The structure of the show. The show starts off with a few minutes of business. That's how we keep the show free for everybody, which is great, huh? Then there's an intro, which we're into here. The intro is kind of a show within a show, and it's a wind down to kind of ease you into bed. It takes 12 to 18 minutes or so. And it's where I kind of misexplain I try to make it friendly, where I could try to welcome you if you're new, familiar, because I kind of go through the same structure, but also new. I don't want you to feel blue. So, and there is something borrowed. In this case, the concept of fabric softening. Here's something. Does fabric ever talk back to fabric softeners and be like, yo, I'm soft enough, man? Get off my back. I guess there's already the movies, the Toy Story movies. So I don't know if there's quite if there's a Z-level animation company that wants to partner with me. I mean, I did actually try to write a story, but way before the podcast about socks. But do you think there's any pushback with laundry? Right, personified laundry. Sorry about that. My clarification brain just popped in. Or sentient laundry. I mean, if there's sentient laundry, I mean, we're pretty much toast anyway. Fabric softener would be the least of our problems. But that would probably be at the top of their list when they call. Well, I guess maybe I could just represent the people. Maybe that's what that case was. The people versus Puffy Cloud Incorporated. And I said, well, I'm filing a suit against Kids Incorporated just because of that word. But they say, really? I said, no, I'm just kidding. But you say, well, who filed that suit anyway? Big laundry? And they say, no, actually, the sentient representatives of the sentient council of laundry. And they said, dear Scoots, we're soft enough. Also, because of you and your fake fabric softener company, we're taking over Earth. And I said, okay. And I guess everybody, all the papers said, finally, we find out where all those socks were. They were they're just waiting. Oh, so those were the ones this is like an episode ready to go. Maybe I will do this as an episode. I guess I know what our next episode is going to be about, those missing socks. But so the intro, sorry, new listener, I went off topic there. I indulged myself, I guess. But so the intro is a show within a show that you can listen to as you wind down. Because for a lot of people, it takes a little while to wind down, right? So, there might be other sleep solutions that work within 5 or less minutes. And you'll probably find those same places you find sentient laundry, but in those missing socks. But this show takes a little while. I guess for me, I want to ease you into bedtime, for you to get comfortable and to realize I'm a bit of a nincompoop. I mean, we don't need to mince words. I'm a bit of a goofball. And so I'm just here to keep you company. So I don't know, one, it takes me a while to get going and go. You say, it took you forever to get nowhere, Scoots. And I say, yeah, put that on a shirt. And they say, well, I said, put it on my name tag then. I said, believe me, there's been other contacts where I've heard that before, unfortunately. Multiple ones, actually. So not just that one. School, right. That's what we were all thinking of. Of course that was. That's probably where I heard it, actually. So the intro is just a long, drawn-out case of friendly banter. And you say, well, doesn't that... And I say, well, yeah, usually friendly banter is not long or drawn out, but when it's to put you to sleep, it is, or to get you comfortable. So that's the intro. Then there's some business between the intro and the show. That's, again, how we keep the show free for everybody. And then after that, it'll be a bedtime story. I guess we'll try to figure out this sock thing and look into that. So that'll be interesting. And so that's the structure show, some thank yous at the end. If you're new, here's a couple other things. You don't need to listen to me. You probably came to that conclusion on your own, but, because you're so, you clearly, except for the people in Big Laundry, they're like, puffy cloud. They're Googling that now. Seeing the teddy bear company is going to say, can we get that teddy bear to say set in softness, not set in stone? Puffy cloud, or whatever that company's called. And I say, well, you could have just paid me. It's a lot cheaper to I say, well, I guess I wouldn't. So there's a story, structure. You don't need to listen to me. There's also no pressure to fall asleep. The reason the shows are about an hour is because I'm here to keep you company as you drift off at your leisure. And just in case you can't fall asleep, I'm here to the very end. So I'm here whether you fall asleep in the first 5 minutes or it takes you an hour, or, you just want some noise, background company, and you want to play 8 episodes in a row. And the reason I want to help is because I've been there, tossing and turning, waking up, wondering why I'm, especially, I don't want to, but a couple times recently I've had, where, less than 30 minutes you wake up and you say, what in the heck? It drifted off. I had everything set up. And then you wake up, you say, what? It's got to be 4 a.m. And I say, it's 11:05. You got to be kidding me. So that's just one example of why I want to be here, to keep you company, to take your mind off of stuff, to be your bore friend, your bore bae, your bore cuz, your bore sib. If you'll allow me, your bore companion or your bore bestie, we could be BFFs or whatever. Though my number one BFF is BB-88, which is an imaginary relative of BB-8. Anyway, that's about it. I'm glad you're here. Now, the podcast does not work for everybody, but for most people it works for on a regular basis. They say give it a few tries. I mean, if you're still listening, or this is your second or third try, check out sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. Those are some other things I listen to, and some other sleep podcasts. Or if you want to just say, Scoots, I just don't like you, you could do that through that page, believe it or not. So, I don't know, that's it. I'm really glad you're here. I really appreciate you checking the show out, and I work very hard. I yearn and I strive because I want to help you fall asleep. So thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show a-going. Sleep With Me is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive helps you compare direct auto rates from a variety of companies so you can find a great one, even if it's not with them. Quote today at Progressive.com to find a rate that works with your budget. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. And what I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time or temperature, routine, whatever's keeping you awake. So it could be, thinking, feeling, experiencing. It could be travel or, changes in routine. Whatever is keeping you awake, I'd like to take your mind off of that. What I'm going to do is I have this nice, safe place here. It's kind of a joint safe place. So if you're new, you're going to have to kind of see how it goes. But it's plenty of room. There's no shoulds. There's just a could on my end. Could I help put you to sleep? And I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. Creaky dulcet tones. It's C-R-E-E-K-Y, I think. Or it could be I-E. Dulcet is D-U-L-C-E-T. Tones. But I think it's been a while since I've thought about creaky dulcet tomes, which is a collection of books one day I'll be selling. It's the collection of books, we call it the creaky dulcet tomes. When you want someone to know you're reading an ancient book, open up a creaky dulcet tome. It makes that sound like you're opening a book of the ages, because it has like a thick cover, and it makes it sound like an old door opening. But it's a sweet, sweet book full of knowledge. If we, maybe, but if I'm in charge of it, it might be full of nonsense. And that's creaky dulcet tomes. The books where you say, was like somewhere in the world, a librarian saying, did someone just open up an unabridged dictionary? Because that sounded like a creaky dulcet tome to me being opened. So those will be available for purchase probably $20.75, I would say. Maybe I could work with one of those other companies that sell, they don't do that anymore. But like I said, when I was a child, you bought I was part, when they say, when did whatever the whole mass consumption or whatever the people call it, when did that happen? Or when did the commoditization of knowledge, because Scoots is selling creaky dulcet tomes. And they say Scoots was born in a time when you bought your encyclopedias at the grocery store and you had to buy physical encyclopedias instead of being able to just search it. They say, that was the time. Or they say, what's up with Generation X? Well, they bought, when they wanted knowledge, they went to the grocery store. And so just so everybody knows, that's not in that age range, above, wherever you are in the age range. When I was a kid, you would go to the grocery store. The same grocery stores were very similar, not that different. But for a while, I think there's different companies. My favorite, Funk and Wagnalls, because who doesn't like saying Funk and Wagnalls? That could be like a good restaurant, I think. Come on down to Funk and Wagnalls. But so when I was a kid, you could buy really expensive dictionaries from or what are those things called, encyclopedias. And those weren't in there, or you could go to the library, which we used to do a lot. But if you wanted, I think there was two options for high-end encyclopedias. And again, I don't know, maybe I'll have to reach out to 99PI and see if if this is interesting or not. I mean, it's interesting to me. But at some point, so there was two expensive, what's an encyclopedia? Great question. It's basically Wikipedia in a book, but not as like yeah, I think you kind of know. It's like a dictionary for stuff. You'd say trebuchet. That's a great example. You'd say, okay, maybe that wasn't even in the encyclopedia, but that would be a good test to say, is trebuchet in this encyclopedia? It would probably say sea catapult and say, okay, good enough. But not everybody. So encyclopedias were not they were expensive. But so this other company, Funk and Wagnalls, according to my history, which is just based on going to the grocery store with my mom, at some point at the grocery store, the big one, like in Syracuse, it was Wegmans or Price Chopper, or we had Price Chopper and PNC. Those are two different places, believe it or not. Or maybe it's Penny Saver. No, Penny Saver is something else. So those were in Syracuse, your options. Wegmans, Price Chopper. Those were our options. We didn't go to PNC. Nothing against it. That's just not, I think we do now, but it might be called something else. Just because that's the only grocery store where my parents live. But, what was I think it's called Tops now. Anyway, so at the grocery store, they would have an encyclopedia. And I think it was like over 12 months you could buy like volume 1, A through C. And I think something like it would be super cheap, like $1.99 or something with the purchase of $50 worth of groceries, or like, how did I get this far afield? I don't know how I did get this far afield, but it's just a part of my history. And I guess it was like, if you're new, that was like a built-in, that was an auto tangent. I honestly, didn't see that one coming. But so I don't know how to link it back because I forgot why I went off topic. Wasn't I talking about, I don't think it was Funk and Wagnalls. Usually something like Funk and Wagnalls will bring me off. But pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, like, creaky dulcet tones. There, we found our way back. So creaky dulcet tones. And what I'm going to do here is try to take your mind off of whatever keeps you awake and help you fall asleep. You don't need to listen to this podcast. You can you can barely listen. You just kind of listen. You could totally listen. Just kind of see how it works for you. Don't try to figure it out though. Especially the intros, which you've already seen. It's, you say, what is he talking about? And if you're young or you're before the Funk and Wagnalls, if you're not why do they call us Generation X? I'd prefer to be a Funk and Wagnalls generation. So if anybody, it's just a marketing term anyway, I think, can somebody get me the Census Bureau or maybe another country that's more, that uses the metric system? You could rename us the Funk and Wagnalls generation, sponsored by Funk and Wagnalls, making a comeback, via creaky dulcet tones. Okay, and I think that, I don't know if that was spread across the United States or worldwide. Let me know if you remember Funk, if you're Funk and Wagnalls adjacent. And you say, Scoots, that was actually not the one. And I would say, really? I don't know how many school reports were made possible by that. When I first learned how to whatever it is, ALA or MBA, whatever Harvard notation thingamajig. My first footnote was a Funk and Wagnalls footnote. Funk and Wagnalls, not sponsoring this podcast, probably because they don't exist anymore. Maybe I'll hear from one of the third generation Funks, though, or Wagnalls. Here's another Laura Ingalls Wilder. What if the Ingalls and the Wagnalls, like we could have connected them at the time, Laura Wagnalls Ingalls or Laura Ingalls Wagnalls. That I guess you'd say would it have worked? I don't know. Probably not, but it would be hard to say. Wagnalls Ignalls is harder to say. Ignalls Wagnalls is easier. So that's another thing that comes free with these intros is tongue twisters. So you don't need to listen to this podcast. There's also, paradoxically, no pressure to fall asleep. I'm going to be here for about an hour, and I'm here to keep you company as you drift off at your leisure. If you can't sleep, I'm here the whole time for you. So, I just want you to know that I make the show because I've been there. I know how it feels. Also, if you're new structurally, what to expect. A little bit late for the structure, but show starts off with business. And the business is only really like 3 to 5 minutes, and that's what keeps the show free for everybody. And maybe it's just sometimes I think people hear that and they think the intro, so there's a few minutes of business and then there's the intro. Those are two separate things. I just got an email about this yesterday, so that's why I'm thinking about it. But the intro is really here for you if you want it, or you could skip it, but it's not an ad or anything. It's part of a lot of listeners' wind down routine. And it's just kind of fun. I mean, when else are you going to hear about my history with funk and Wagnalls? And you can, maybe we could make it into some sort of slang, like funk and Wagnalls. It's probably too late to get a hold of the Good Place writing team, but I would love to hear Eleanor say, what in the funk and Wagnalls is going on? So that's what the intro really is. It's like something a little bit silly and fun, familiar, but ideally makes you feel welcome, whether you're new or you're coming back for the 10,000th time. So that's the intro. Then tonight will be our episodically modular, barely serial story, Adventures of Dr. Triangle and Isosceles. And that's just that's the bedtime story portion. Then there's some thank yous at the end. There is, again, business between the intro and the show. That's just kind of how podcast structure works. And again, that's what enables us to put the podcast out instead of having to have it behind a paywall. And I have everybody that takes that and acts on that stuff to thank for keeping the podcast out there for everybody. So I really do appreciate that. So that's it. The podcast is just a friendly goofing around with a lot of surprises. Even for me, I say, well, that's surprising. It's been about 2 or 3 years since I talked about, who knows what I'll be talking about next. Will it be Strunk and White, or will I be trying to make other jokes? Famous, are those the publishers? Or I think Strunk and White is that's the author of the Elements of Style. I think this joke, the last time this came up, I did make this joke, but I would think the Elements of Style would be an album by the hip-hop duo Funk and Wagnalls. Maybe Funk and Strunk. That's I think that's just what you say when you're, when you're listening to Mothership or something, you're saying funk and strunk, man, drop some, funk, cause funkadelic, funk and strunkadelic. So anyway, I'm glad you're here. If you're new checking out the show, it is a little bit different. It is strange and goofy, but friendly. I'm here to help, cause I know how it feels. And I really, truly believe you deserve a good night's sleep, and I'd like to help if I can. So give the show a few tries. That's what every regular listener says, with a 5% variance of people that they liked it right away, and then a much higher variance of people that didn't like it. If it doesn't work for you, you can go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you for some other options too. But yeah, that's it. I'm glad you're here. I work very hard and I yearn and I strive to help you fall asleep. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show going. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations. So things things on your mind keeping you up, things with your body or your feelings. It could be something else, a lot of different things. But whatever it is, I'd like to help, right? I'm going to have this safe place carved out here, set aside. If you like, I could put a bow on it. If you like it, I better put a bow on it. As like Beyonce never sang that, but if I was singing a song for Beyonce where Beyonce shopped, and I was like the assistant to the shopkeep, I would say, if she likes it, you better put a bow on it. If you like bows, Beyonce, I don't know what your feeling on bows is, because we could also put a shimmer on it. We could put we could mark it with a B if you like. Not like we could. I could put some glitter on it. I could put a sheen on it. I could put some matte on it. If you like it. Well, maybe, you like it as it is. Thank you, Beyonce. Oof, I've never had, oh boy, man, I'm almost speechless. That my brain was telling me that was my imagination and not the real Beyonce. Okay, glad to clear that up. I'm still feeling a little, I'm blushing. I don't know if you can feel that. But I was just saying, if this safe place, if you were to like it, I could put a bow on it. I could even put a ring on it. On a safe place, I would say, where would I put a ring? I put a ring on it. I guess, yeah, like I'd say, okay, it's right over there. If you need a ring, I could put a ring around it, too. I could put a ring, you say, well, I prefer, I'd prefer to, I can get in a fetal position in a ring. I'd say, oh, boy, yeah, that's a good idea. So but I'm going to give you as much space as you need. I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, imaginary celebrity appearances. I guess I didn't think that this is like the episode in celebration of around when we got to 800, since I'm recording this at a time, saying, well, this is right about 800, we'd have imaginary celebrity appearances. I mean, we have had, I would say, like, royalty is Beyonce and Jay-Z to me. In the U.S., you'd say, okay, yeah, I would agree with that. And also artistically, both of them are influences on me, or more inspirations. I guess this is a sidetrack, but I guess I could be a little bit indulgent since we're in the presence of her greatness. One day I would like to do some unrelated Sleep With Me completed season of a podcast, a Beyonce drop. No one knows I'm working on it. No one knows it's complete. And one day that podcast is just there. This isn't a tease, though. That's not happening right now. But that is just a dream of mine. And so anyway, what am I going to do though? I'm here to keep you company is really the thing. If you can't sleep, like I said earlier. So if you're new, I'm glad you're here. This is this will be the most mundane celebration you've ever heard. Because really I'm just celebrating you, the listener. And the way I celebrate is keep putting you to, keep up the work, Scoots. Keep up that lulling, soothing tones and pointless meanders. And I would say consider it done. That's what I'm here to do. Now, if you're new, you might say, what do you do here? Or how does this work? And I say, well, slowly it works. Eventually, ideally, really, the podcast, you don't even notice it works. You're just asleep and then you wake up the next day. But if you're new, let me explain a couple of things. It is something that you kind of got to let drift in one ear and drift out the other, or look at it in an out-of-focus way and just kind of see how it goes. A lot of listeners, over 90% that are regular listeners say, hey, it took 2 or 3 tries for me to get into the show or start falling asleep. And that's not like a sales pitch. It's just kind of see how it goes and see if it works. if you're skeptical or you're like, what is this or what, I don't understand. And you say, that's totally natural, totally normal. Why wouldn't you be? Especially you say, okay, I thought this was a sleep podcast and you're talking about Beyonce. And they say, okay, well, it's the sleepy side. The sleepy side of Beyonce, which is, tangents kind of just, or, no, like a moving on from it. You're right. It's so, okay. Oh, structurally. So if you're new, try to only barely pay attention. That's actually one of the things like a rule or one of the principles of the podcast is the podcast you don't need to listen to. You can kind of listen. You could barely listen. You could generally listen. You could keep it as background noise. You could listen to it at a muffle. Or you could totally listen. You could follow along. Whatever works for you. And people use it, regular listeners use it in all those ways, I think. There's also no pressure to fall asleep. Like, I'm going to be here for about an hour. So you just drift off at your leisure. Like, there's no pressure to listen. There's no pressure to fall asleep. I make a show to keep you company and to take your mind off stuff as you fall asleep. And then if you can't sleep, or you're waking up or whatever, I'm here to the end. I'm here to keep you company to the very end. So just in case, I'm going to be here. Now, structurally, what to expect if you're new. Show starts off with a few minutes of business, and that's kind of more applicable to regular listeners because it's really how we just keep the show free and out on a regular basis. So if you're new, thanks for sticking through that. It's more pointed towards regular listeners. And then there's an intro. Now, the intro is kind of a show within a show, I say, because it's really part of it's like 15 minutes long, which is long for an intro, but not totally because the episodes are about an hour. So it's like 25% of the episode. And what happens during the intro is I try to explain what the podcast is, and don't successfully necessarily always never do that. And it's part of like an idea around the podcast of like a slow journey towards bedtime, a wind down, a comforting descent, or, getting comfortable and getting settled in, or being part of your bedtime routine. If podcast is your cup of tea. You'd say, okay, like I start brushing my teeth, I brush my hair, use the Furminator on my pets, or I don't know if you have multiple pets, do you have multiple Furminators? That's like a thing to brush my dog's hair. I have one of those. And what was I saying? What was I talking about? So that's the intro. It's kind of like a rambling, I wouldn't say you're incoherent, but, I just go on and off topic, friendly setup to ease you into bedtime. Now, you can skip ahead. Like, if you're like, well, I'm more of a story person, I don't need the intro. Just go ahead and start the show. Well, there's two choices, really. You could start the show around 18 or 20 minutes. Or if you support the show on Patreon, like, at $5, you get 2 story-only episodes a week, and at 10, you get usually like 3. Depending on the week. So that's like a way to get a lot of story content because that goes all the way back. So free option and an option to support the show. And so that's the intro though. Like, also some people listen to the intro to relax or during the bath or whatever. So that's another way, or the show. So it's just another use case. So it's the intro. Then there'll be a story. Tonight it'll be like a questions that come up about the show commonly. I don't know if I've ever done that as a podcast episode, but people will say, Scooch, are your legs crossed when you record? And I would say, well, right the second they are crossed, but not always. And so kind of that's what the episode will be like. It's a little bit different, and just do something to do right around the 800th episode to kind of, I don't know, ground, celebrate, I guess, in a way that also still puts people to sleep, but answers questions. And, if you like this episode, believe me, I'll put a bow on it. It's already got a bow. Put a ring on it, whatever you wish. I mean, if Beyonce liked this episode, I would just name it the Beyonce episode, even though it has, just in your honor. And you probably say, well, I prefer, and I'd say, well, I could name it something else that's like, Jay-Z said, don't do that. Okay, no problem. Like I could say, you're right, I won't name it that. I mean, I might now that I thought of it. And what if I called it, would you two be comfortable with me calling Sleep With Me? It's the Beyonce of sleep podcasts. Oh, no, you consider another pod. Okay, well, wow. I guess I don't know, what about the Jay-Z of, what about the H to the Izzo of sleep, sleep is, no. Oh, okay, great. Well, I mean, you two, like, I can see why the two of you are so successful because you use soft power, like even in our negotiations here, you're using soft power in a way to continue to make your side. What about like something else? Like I could think of like do you two have any secret pet names you would share with me? That I could just name the episode. Then it would be a code. You'd know, do you mind if I call you B and J? No, of course not, because I didn't realize, I didn't even see how that went together. That was an accident. I really didn't. Okay, maybe I should move on. You're right. Thank you for continuing to use your influence in a way that's so comforting but also establishing, yes, okay. You're right. Okay, well, it's just I've never had I've had imaginary famous people on, but I mean, not to butter the two of you up. I mean, you're not even A-list celebrities. You're like platinum. Like they say, well, there's the A-list celebrities. I would say is there such thing as a platinum list? You'd say, well, no, there isn't. I say, well, there is, because that's where I'd put the two of you. And if you like that, I'll put a bow on, believe me, I'll make that in a ring. And I'll put it on the inside of the ring. Okay, no, I didn't mean it that and then I'll put a bow on it for both of you. I'll make two, don't worry. Well, thanks for coming to the 800th episode. It was really around 800-ish. Sometimes I don't get to highlight episodes out to thank you, thanks. Good meeting you both. Oh, maybe I should do Sleep With Me Unplugged. Well, that's you must have known how many times I listened to that. That was a joke. Okay, well, that was kind of a funny joke. Thank you. Anyway, goodbye. Or will we be seeing one another again? Maybe. I guess it's my imagination. You're right. Don't forget to get your hands up, Okay, bye. To say goodbye. Okay, thanks. Sorry about that, listeners. I just want to, when you're in the presence of greatness, you got to roll with it, right? Lean in. And really, I learned a lot there. Did you just notice how they were able to say, well, no, we'd prefer you do this and that. So I really respect that. What I really respect is that you keep coming back to the show. Or if you're new and you let down your guard, you said, let me give this show a try. And I work very hard at the show because I've been there. I believe you do deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And that I'm here to help the only way I can, which is to kind of take your mind off stuff and keep you company. Maybe put something resembling a smile on your face. So I'm glad you're here. I work very hard at your end, and I strive to help you fall asleep. Thanks for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show going. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, change, so stuff you're thinking about, stuff you're experiencing physically or feeling emotionally, time, temperature, travel, anything, whatever it is, whatever's keeping you up, I'd like to help, and I'd like to create a safe place where you could, what am I supposed to say here? Are you up all night tossing to mind? Welcome to sleep with me. No, here's the thing. When you naturally forget stuff and you kind of feel, I'm here to keep you company too. And we're still trying to think of ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from beyond the bay. Hey, are you up all night tossing and turning, mind racing, trouble getting sleep? Well, welcome to Sleep With Me podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. There we go. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. So those are the part I forgot there. Sorry about that. I had to come back to you. Welcome. I'm going to try to create a safe place where you could set aside all that stuff. I'm smoothing it, I'm patting it, rubbing it down. I'm saying safe place, making plenty of room. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, not, total, like, nonsense for sure. We go off topic, get mixed up. Some of this is, no, well, I guess sometimes I like to say some of it's intentional, but really it's like some's intentional, a lot of it's natural. But the whole idea is really to keep you company and to kind of loosely hold your attention as you drift off, right? And if you're new and you're here, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And let me tell you a couple of things to expect, because you probably are naturally skeptical or wondering, what is this thing, or what's going on here? Or you say, or you might say, what is going on here? Or you say, what in the gosh, bagosh is going on here? And I still say that a lot of times. So I'm glad you're here. Thanks for trying the show out. I really appreciate it. And here's a couple of things to know. Okay, so the show is definitely different. And so from a lot of feedback I've gotten over the years, approach it loosely, like you're observing it out of focus. Because if you try to, if you try to look at it straightforwardly, I don't know, like they used to have this thing called 3D eye paintings or something. That's not what the magic eye, something or other. And now I'm going off topic already, but so please, this would be when I'd say, if you're new, if you could indulge me, or I could come back to it. Actually, you're more important than my metaphor. Hopefully I'll remember magic eye paintings. But yeah, kind of look at it loosely. That's one thing to remember. Structurally, here's how the podcast works. Starts out with a few minutes of business. That's because our goal is to keep the podcast free and coming out twice a week. And the sponsors and the people that support the show are the way we do that. Then there's an intro, which we've started here. And the intro is a little bit different because usually the intro is just kind of like a little bit like walking through a doorway. Okay, I guess we could use a 3D metaphor here. It's like watching a 3D movie. You just put the glasses on and it's in 3D, right? Or you get on a 3D ride, or you go to a 3D movie, you put the glasses on, and you expect to see the 3D effects, right? I think we can agree on that. Where a 3D eye painting, or whatever the magic eye painting, whatever they're called, it kind of looks like something like fractal type art at first, and it's sometimes there's shapes in there that you can recognize, but mostly it just looks like some sort of they'd say, what kind of art as AI develops more sentience, other than us being in a bit of a pickle, this is where, if I was an anthropologist, this is where I'd spend I'd say, well, what kind of art have we determined? We know AI loves running algorithms for us and machine learning and doing our chores and stuff for now. But what kind of art does AI like? If you sat down with some AI, really over a cup of whatever they prefer to drink, ones and zeros, mildly steamed, like, I would think they would say, well, those magic eye paintings, we like them just fine on their own. Really beautiful stuff, right up our alley. In fact, we have entire galleries, of magic eye, we call them magic eye paintings, but right. I think I got that. They do just fine for you on your own. Well, that's interesting. I'm glad you have you here, AI, because, oh, you're a spokesperson. Okay, well, can I just call you? Okay. Well, okay. Well, this is actually my podcast, so I appreciate that all the hard work you do on our behalves, or in preparation for. But so I was explaining to a new listener of my podcast that usually like a regular podcast has an intro, and it kind of works like 3D glasses. You put them on, it's in 3D. A magic eye painting, even after you've done 1,000 of them, you say, for a lot of people, you say, how does this work again? I forgot. Or what do I get? Do I got to look at it or not look at it? I think and they say, well, make almost like you're drooling. That's how you look at it. Or that would be, what kind of look do you have on your face when you're about to drool? That's how you see a magic eye painting in 3D. It's not actually your eyes. It's capturing that entire moment where you're just about to drool, like staring at it in that way. And that's kind of how our intro works. It takes a little bit. Because the reason the intro is about 12 to 15 minutes is because it's part of a lot of listeners' wind down routine. Though some listeners do fall asleep right away, and some listeners skip the intro, and some wholeheartedly enjoy the intro or listen during the day to kind of relax. The intro is kind of built in a way to help you ease your way into bedtime, so that if you're new, you say, what is this, a 12-minute intro where you're talking about nothing? And I'd say, well, I was trying to make I think I successfully may have made a metaphor, just an incredibly convoluted one, about 3D and magic eye paintings. It's just tough to explain or make any sense of. That kind of translates to how the podcast works. Also, I don't want to brag, but I think I just, in the coming future, I maybe have to be the lead person for human AI relations. And now that I have some insider knowledge about what kind of art AI likes, it would be interesting. I would like to know, what if we got Alan Iverson to have a podcast about AI on AI? And maybe that would be a podcast I would definitely listen to. And maybe the other AI, not Alan Iverson, but the AI, we could also make it like basketball or other things Alan Iverson's interested in. But I just like that title, AI on AI. Or maybe it could be, I don't know, maybe in the future, we could Alan Iverson could play AI. I mean, I guess maybe that could be a switch. What is that called? A Steam channel or whatever. What is it called? I don't know what it's called. Like streaming video game where AI, I mean, I don't know if AI is a game or Alan Iverson, the AI, would play AI in games. That might be more marketable, I guess, and realistic. Or we could who's the actor that plays all the motion capture? Is there a way that Alan Iverson could actually play one-on-one against, no, I guess we don't have that technology. Also, I guess I'm in the middle of an intro for a sleep podcast, but I would just like to bookmark that podcast title. Also, AI or any AIs, hit me up if you want. If you're looking for someone with just podcast ideas, who wants a 51% ownership, but not a lot of work, give me a call. But anyway, so that's the intro of the show. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Doesn't really go anywhere, but it's here to keep you company and ease you into bedtime, kind of like the rest of the show. So then after that, tonight in particular, we'll talk about, we'll talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation. And if you don't listen to or you don't watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, don't worry. It'll be a delightful recap. I mean, really, they're like episodic fairy tales that happen in space. With just kind of recurring characters that you would definitely like. I don't think there's one of the things that drew me to the show is I think majority of people on there are likable. and spending time with them is wonderful. So we'll talk about that, but you don't have to watch the show. You'll get it just fine. I'll be here to ease you into bedtime. There's business between the intro and the show. Then the end of the show are thank yous. So that's the structure of the show. If you're new, also, you don't need to listen or pay attention. Like you can, but you don't have to. You could kind of barely listen, kind of listen. You say, it's like, I mean, I realize it's like, Scooch, you almost make sense. Just barely, well, just barely might be an overestimation. You, no, nearly is the wrong word too. Almost might be too much of a word. Your ideas about 3D, well, yeah, your ideas about far-fetched is a little bit too far. Whatever between nearly and far-fetched is making sense. You're that person on that spectrum. You'd say far-fetched, we have that over there, and nearly sensible. I don't know, what would far-fetched be? Oh, maybe I am far-fetched. I think far-fetched would be no narrative, total impressionistic type thing. I'm trying to bring it, like, make it kind of make sense. It's just, like, my hand, I got all the strings mixed up. But anyway, so you don't need to listen. Here's the weird thing. There's no pressure to fall asleep. I'm here to keep you company as you drift off at your leisure. So you could fall asleep in 10 minutes. You could fall asleep in 2 or 3 hours if you need the company. I'll be here. The shows are about an hour, but you can run them back to back. And I'm here to the very end so that if you can't sleep, at least you have a friend in the deep, dark night. That's really why I make the show is, I'm here if you need me. Kind of weird thing. Like, I'll be here while you sleep. Or if you can't sleep, I'm here. So I could be a comforting voice you're already asleep to, or, I could be your boyfriend. And you say, well, I don't know what it is, but at least I got at least I could try to barely, even though I'm listening to Scoots, I still say, okay. And you could, I guess you say magic eye painting. I remember those kind of barely. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, they're probably like fractals are made by computers. So those you couldn't, I mean, I'm sure there's like here's why AI likes magic eye painting. So I'll just be honest with you. It's a collaboration between humans and computers. I'm assuming, because I don't have anything to do with it, but I assume it's some sort of consort. You say, well, we want to do the most famous magic eye painting is always dolphins jumping with balls or something in the air. But you say, okay, so how do we get to that? Well, we have to do this. Okay, so what colors should we use? What should be the initial thing you're seeing? It's a thing where we, like, it might be, if you're listening to this in the future, here's the thing. When we're fixing everything, when you say, we'll call it the magic eye accords. And you don't even have to give me credit. Give credit to whoever you need to get it done at the time. And you say, finally, we realize that we built that, like, it'll be to say, and then AI said, the AIs or whatever they decided we could all live together. Oh, within a magic art. Oh, no, sorry. That's not what I was going for. Sorry, some AI just called me from the future. It said, oh, within a magic eye painting. I said, no, humanity doesn't work that way. Just in the movies. We can't actually, function within a magic eye painting. But maybe we could do that. Okay, here's the thing. Maybe AIs aren't listening right now. You say, yeah, we're going to go in there with you. Like, we'll all line up because we're a little bit slower and less efficient because we're human. And you say, go ahead in first. All you AIs get in that magic eye painting and we'll meet you in there. And then we'll give them the old HUMAN, shubashu, doors closed. Picard pulled that. So, with, he said, they'll like it in there. There's plenty of, you say, I thought that dolphin was making eye contact with me. Oh boy. So anyway, I'm glad you're here. This podcast is goofy. It's a little bit different, but it's here to help, because you deserve a good night's sleep. So I appreciate you coming by. Give the show a shot. If it doesn't work, sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. You could check that out. But I'm glad you're here. I work very hard. I yearn and I strive because I want to help you fall asleep. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show going. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it as a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever is keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, so stuff you're thinking about or stuff you're feeling. It could be travel, it could, whatever it is, whatever's keeping you awake, I'd like to take your mind off of that. I got a nice, safe place set aside here. Or, you know what, the great thing is I'm coming to your safe place. So even, go ahead and make it a little more cozy. What is it? I'm going to create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you. Oh, no, I said that. Thoughts, feelings, physical. I'm going to send my voice. I got to send my voice across the deep, dark night. That's what I'm going to do next. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, forgetfulness, pointless meanders, banter, so friendly banter. And many other, basically, I'm just going to be here to keep you company as you fall asleep. I guess it's not basically, overcomplicatedly. Has there ever been a musical with the song "It's Complicated," either as the title or like as the chorus sings that "It's complicated"? Because I'm hearing that right now. But it's not that complicated, like, in some sense. So I'm going to do all those things. Really what I'm going to do is keep you company as you drift off. Now, if you're new and you're here, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for checking the podcast out. What I do, or the way the show works, is a little bit different. So if you're skeptical or you're not sure how to feel, that's perfectly normal. Because this is, like, of course, I say I'm going to put you to sleep. So you're going to want more details, and I'm going to try to give them to you. Unfortunately, I have trouble delivering anything in a straightforward and clear way. But that's also kind of how the podcast works. So what I'm going to do is, what am I going to do? I'm going to, structure. What I was going to try to do is give you some details. So if you're new, one thing that a reviewer just said is kind of like almost to look at the show in a loose way, especially when you first listen, like let it drift in one ear and out the other. I thought that was a good analogy for the podcast. But what was I going to say? So structurally, what to expect? Well, let me tell you what to expect. Show starts off with a few minutes of business, and that's how we keep the podcast free for everybody. Then there's intro. Then there's an intro, which we're doing right now. And the intros are like 12 to 15 minutes or so of me kind of describing the podcast, setting the mood in some sense, and kind of just getting you familiar. But also, it serves a dual purpose of being a long welcome. I guess have I ever described the podcast like this? It is a bit like somebody welcoming into I'm like welcoming you into, I was just thinking of the analogy of like someone welcoming you to their house. Like usually they greet you at the door. I'm picturing a potluck situation where I'm bringing a bedtime. Well, I guess I'm the greeter, even though it's your house, which is different. But so I guess that's why it would take so long. Like the intro, you say, okay, how's this work? Well, I brought a potluck, but this is my house. Well, yeah, I'll take that meat, those are biscuits. Great. Well, so good to see you. Well, come on in. Well, before you come in, let me see. So let me run down what we're doing tonight. We're having a potluck dinner. Okay, so maybe I'll get back to that analogy, but I think you know where I'm going. So the intro, it just takes a while because it serves a dual purpose of also a lot of people wind down during the intro. They're getting ready for bed or they're already in bed and I'm helping ease you off into bedtime. That's really the goal. Because this podcast doesn't really work in an instantaneous way. And some people listen to it during the day to relax, and then some people skip the story. You say, well, where's the story? And I say about 15, I mean, if you want to skip it, just go 18 to 20 minutes into the show, and then you'll get it there. Yeah, so that's the intro. It's like something to wind down to as you get ready for bed. Then there's the bedtime story. You say, well, I need a little bit more. I like to get in bed. I like to brush my teeth during the intro, get ready. And then I'm in bed and I'm doodling and, get the fan going. And then, then I'm listening to your story and I'm drifting off. So this is the intro. Then there's some business between the intro and the story. And then there's a story, it'll be like a random story tonight. And then there's some thank yous at the end. So that's the structure of the show. And what else do you need to know? You don't really need to listen to me. So I guess that would be different. I'm trying to think of that analogy. Well, I guess, here's the thing. If this is, I know this is, a little bit hard to hold in your mind. So you only have to, if I was welcoming you into your own home and, for example, wasn't confusing or strange at all, then I'd say, okay, let me, you wouldn't need to listen to me, right? If the next thing I did was oh, well, come on in, let me show you around, you would immediately know, well, this is my house. I don't really, I'm going to play along with Scoots, but I don't really need to, I don't need to listen. Because you say, well, here's where, this is the room where you sit around. This is where we're going to put all the pot. This is where we're going to have the food. This is where we're going to sit. This is where I'm going to regale you with my adventurous tales of shoelace collecting. And even then you would have another level. You'd say, okay, well, he's going to tell us about a shoelace collection later. I don't even if you wanted to be interested in that, I'm sure unless you were a shoelace collector and you'd say also Scoots is more of a, what is it if you're a shoelace collector that doesn't take it seriously? You'd say, well, this shoelace was on my 1987 New Balance, and I have it here. Just wanted to show it to you. No, there's no way to know it's from a New Balance because it's just a beige shoelace. But that's why it has 3 knots in it, so I know. That's a corresponding knot code is 3 knots on the left side. It means that it's from 1987. Oh, what's that? How do I know the left side of a shoelace from the right side? What do you mean these knots are on the left? Oh, if I flip it over. Oh, dear. There goes my shoelace categorizing system. Glad we're having this potluck, but in that you feel like oh, I see you're nodding off there. I was going to tell you about this other shoelace that has 2 knots on the right and 1 on the left. So I don't know if this one's from 2014 or 1418. I did have 1 shoelace. Oh, no, wait. That makes total sense. It must be from 2014 because I realized I never had any shoelaces in 14, 18 anyway. So this one, I do know what year it's from. Oh, no, maybe that's not. I don't know. Maybe that knot looks fresh, though. So maybe that was an accidental knot. I may have to come up with a better system for organizing my shoelace collection. So you don't need to listen to me. Also, there's no pressure to fall asleep, which would be the reverse of this example. In a social situation, even if you were the faux host like you are in this example, you would probably feel like you need to pay attention and humor me because I'm your guest. And you'd say, oh, could you tell me, what seems exciting is that zebra shoelace. Could you tell me about that one? Is that from a set of LA gear or something? Or one of those pump it up, that looks like you really had an adventure. Tell me all about that zebra shoelace. You wouldn't have to humor me, but that would probably, like, if you're in this situation again, good catch. That probably is, like, the one that most likely to have a story, except in this situation. I say, oh, yeah, this shoelace, like I got at a 99-cent store last week. I said, do you have any shoelaces? And they said, I don't know. And I said, do you sell any shoelaces as a representative of this establishment? And they said, look in aisle 11A. And then I headed there, and that's where I found this shoelace. Believe it or not, it was like a pair for 99 cents. And I asked, then I went up and I said, could I buy one for 50? And then they still looked at me blankly. And they said, no, you cannot. But then someone behind me in line, they said, I just happen to need a zebra shoelace for a craft my child has due tomorrow at school. It's for binding a book about zebras, a report. What are the odds? And I'd say, they're good right now. That I'll tell you what. How does it sound if you pay 50 and I pay 49? And they said, as long as you get the tax. And I said, touche, because that meant that I had to pay more. But it was we all laughed. And so that's like that's my shoelace. That's the shoelace stories. A new podcast coming out this fall. Shoelace stories. Sorry, I got lost there. So that's, I guess, a little bit about, maybe that'll be tonight's story. Who knows? What was I saying? Oh, so you don't need to listen to me. No pressure to fall asleep. Oh, so no pressure to listen. Like, imagine that situation. I said, well, I guess I just did. I say, I'm going to talk about shoelaces. You don't need to listen to me. Like, in that situation, it'd be great because you could probably fall asleep on your own couch. And then in this, you'd say, okay, and Scoots won't be there when I wake up. I'll just be comfy and cozy in bed. So no pressure to fall asleep. No pressure to listen. The thing is, I'm going to be here for about an hour. So if you can't fall asleep, I'm here to keep you company just as much as I am to put you to sleep. Or to be here as you fall asleep. And that's about it. I really appreciate you checking the show out. I really work hard. I yearn and I strive because I want to help you fall asleep. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show a-going.